everyone, especially to you, ma'am. We're the Group 4 presenter and we discuss the Lesson 5, Indigenous Science and Technology in the Philippines. This lesson focuses on indigenous science and technology in the Philippines. When we say indigenous science, is that the body of traditional, environmental, and cultural knowledge unique to a group of people which has served to sustain the people through generations living within a distinct bioregion. Filipinos, especially during the early times, tried to invent tools that will help them in everyday life. For example, the bolo. A bolo is a itak in Tagalog, large cutting tools of Filipino. It is used particularly in the Philippines. The bolo is also used in cleaning vegetation, whether for agriculture. They also developed alternative ideas in explaining various phenomenon and in explaining the world around them. This system of knowledge is called indigenous knowledge, which is the foundation of indigenous science. Indigenous science and technology. Indigenous science, or IS, refers to the science knowledge of all people who as participants in culture are affected by the worldview and interests of their home communities and homelands. Cultural diversity suggests that Western science and indigenous science should be viewed as coexisting or parallel. So, cultural diversity is the existence of a variety of cultural groups within a society. Cultural groups can share many different characteristics. Culture, religion, ethnicity, language, nationality, sexual orientation, class, gender, age, disability, health differences, and lots of other things. Western science is the system of knowledge which relies on certain laws that have been established through the application of the scientific method to phenomena in the world around us. But there is a differences between indigenous knowledge and Western science. Indigenous knowledge is recorded and transmitted through oral tradition, whereas Western science employs the written word. Native science is the study of the whole indigenous technologies emerged from the implicate order to reflect the art of skillful living. In these bodies of knowledge, employ the precision and graduates created with Western science. Indigenous science is this book refers to the science knowledge of all people who as participants in culture are affected by the worldview and interest of their own communities and homelands. Native science defines it in this way. It is a metaphor for a wide range of driver processes of perceiving, thinking, acting, and coming to know that have involved true human experience with the natural world.
Indigenous knowledge system relating to the sustainable management and utilization of biological resources in the environment is not yet thoroughly explored. In accordance with a holistic understanding of the indigenous structures and institutions of the culture, traditions, beliefs, and practices of tribe. Indigenous knowledge system is the knowledge that given to a specific ethnic group that have developed outside of the educational system and continue to grow by interacting with their natural surroundings. It is not thoroughly explored, so this means that there are a lot of things that we still don't know about them. Some discussions on indigenous knowledge tend to limit the concept to the knowledge of plants, herbs, and animals with indigenous medicinal uses. This is practically inappropriate because we should not set limit to the capabilities of indigenous people. Every day, there are many things that they learn or discover with the interaction of their surroundings. Because the knowledge of indigenous peoples is based on a holistic and integrated framework. Placing a particular limitation on the subject may be destructive not only in the relation to the protection and preservation of the environment but also to the preservation and survival of the indigenous peoples, cultures, and tradition. So here are some of the examples of indigenous knowledge system. Number 1 is prediction of weather. If there is no single trace of stars at night, there is a higher chance or possibilities that it will rain. Also, social behavior of ants, earthworms, dragonflies, dogs, frogs, and birds usually predict an upcoming rain, typhoon, or bad weather. Number 2 is preserving of foods. Drying is a method of food preservation that works by removing water from the food, which inhibits the growth of microorganisms. Open air drying using sun and wind has been practiced since then to preserve food. Number 3 is using herbal medicines. One of the example is lemongrass is used for treating stomach ache, high blood pressure, convulsions, cough, fever, and many more. Number 4 is classifying plants and animals. Number 5 is selecting good seeds for planting. Number 6, using indigenous technology. When it comes to fishing, they shoot fish with a spear of wire called bidyo, propelled by 2 strands of rubber band. They use some bearing for hunting animals. It is about 3 feet long, having a 1 centimeter shaft with a barbed point. 7 is building local irrigation. So, what is irrigation? Irrigation is the process of applying water to the crops artificially to fulfill their water requirements. Number 8. Classifying different types of soil for planting. Number 9 is producing wines from tropical fruits. One of the examples is tuba. Tuba or coconut wine is a Filipino alcoholic beverage created from the sap of various species of palm trees. Number 10 is keeping the custom of growing plants and vegetables.
topic is all about the concept of indigenous science. What is the concept of indigenous science? Indigenous science is composed of traditional knowledge that use science process skills and guided by community, values, and culture. A working definition of indigenous science is that body of traditional, environmental, and cultural knowledge unique to a group of people which has served to sustain the people through generation of living within a distinct bioregion. Indigenous science uses science process skills such as observing to our environment, comparing, classifying, measuring, problem solving, inferring, communicating, and predicting. Indigenous science informs place-specific resources management and land care practices important for environmental health of tribal and federal lands. We require greater recognition and support for tribal consultation and participation in the co-management, protection, and restoration of ancestral lands.
Indigenous science is guided by culture and community values such as the following. First, the land is the source of life. It is a precious gift from the Creator. Second, the earth is received a Mother Earth. It is the origin of their identified as the people. All living and non-living things are interconnected and interdependent with each other. Human beings are steward or trustee of the land and other natural resources. They have a responsibility to preserve it. Nature is a friend to human beings. It needs respect and proper care. In a simple word of indigenous science is the practical application of theories of knowledge about the nature of the world, and increasingly indigenous people are incorporating Western scientific knowledge into their practices. Indigenous science is composed of traditional knowledge, practiced and valued by people and communities.
Indigenous knowledge system embedded in the cultural, traditional, or regional indigenous or local communities. Orally passed, evident in stories, poem, and song.
There are some examples of indigenous science.
Prediction of weather, using herbal medicine, preserving of foods, classifying plants and animals into families, selecting good seeds for planting, using indigenous technology, building local irrigation, classifying different types of soil for planting, reducing wines from tropical fruits, keeping the custom of growing plants and vegetables. That's all our topic for today. Thank you for listening and God bless.